NCAA basketball totals for Thursday, February 16th. Again, for you new guys, this is where we look at totals set by oddsmakers in NCAA hoops, and we try to beat that line either over or under the total, having a profitable year so far in college basketball. Let's see if we can continue that today with a couple plays on the card here, a couple of interesting games, several interesting games, across the board, but these are the two that kind of jumped out at me. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the totals of these two and give you my assessment. Also, don't forget we have our NBA live segment. That's going on at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. We're going to do one more of those, I believe. Yeah, one more of those prior to the All-Star break, and then we'll have some more, some more scheduling stuff out there that I'm going to let you guys know about, when we're going to be able to do live segment again and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that sort of stuff. That happens on our Facebook page. Great segment, that NBA live one. The profit margin not really there as far as picking the totals. However, the feedback and everybody getting involved has been awesome. So jump in there, share that video. A lot of fun. Really enjoy doing that with you guys. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at some NCAA totals. But just before I jump into that, don't forget sbrpicks.com, sportsbook review. Sign up bonuses. Got to go check it out. A lot of good stuff there. A lot of free picks. A lot of good handicappers. All right, first game we're going to look at here. Big Ten. Wisconsin and Michigan. Very surprising line here. Well, not so surprising, but with a 30-second shot clock, pretty surprising. Got Wisconsin and Michigan here. 125, and I'm going to take a shot here on the under. So, great rivalry here. Well, kind of rivalry. Great Big Ten matchup here. They met just last month in the middle of January to a 68-64 final. What always gets my radar up about games like this is when oddsmakers come out with a total, that's set lower than the final we just saw these two teams play. I mean, that was a 132 final right there that we just saw between those teams, and the number set by oddsmakers was 132.5. So the fact that they really went down on this one and they didn't set it 128 or anything, right down to 125, and there's actually a little plus money on that 125, which I like. Well, at least it's even money if you find the right sportsbook. Again, sportsbook review, you got to check it out. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm back under this 125. Now, when we look at that first matchup here, the pace was really slow. Michigan got up just 51 attempts in that loss, scoring 64 points, and they shot okay from the floor, but both teams shot particularly well from distance, with Michigan shooting over 47% from beyond the arc. Wisconsin shot over 37%. Good statistics, and Wisconsin shot about 45% from the field, scoring 68 points. But again, back to the tempo, they got up just 53 attempts. So according to this tempo, I think we're going to see a really low-scoring affair, like somewhere like the 60s to the 50s, some area. And also, what really sets what really got my radar up, well, first of all, the total at 125 is the fact that they scored 85 points in the second half. I just do not see them doing that in this game. And they scored 85 points, and still the overall tempo for the game was really slow. Two, statistically, good defensive teams, well-coached teams. We look at them on the defensive end. You're talking about a Wisconsin team that's allowing 60.4 points per game. They're ranked fourth in the country in defensive scoring. Michigan, not bad at all at 65.5. So I think the defenses are going to step up, considering they've had a chance now to see each other once, and look for this to be a really a low-scoring grind between these two teams. Excuse me for one second. There's something in my eye here. Okay. All right, next one up. Again, we're going under again for our just two plays today, and we're heading to the WCC, BYU versus San Diego. This is a numbers play, and what I mean by that, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. They just played in the middle of January as well, much like Michigan and Wisconsin, to an 88-75 final. Okay, not really difficult math there. It's over 160 points. Oddsmakers had it at 151.5, and they went over, obviously. Just saying that right there. Now, talk about getting your radar up. Oddsmakers have set this total today, 145. That's very interesting. And that makes me want to back under. And actually, there's a little bit higher juice on the under as it first came out. You can get at minus 110 at some places. I'm going to go back under this total. Now, closer look of that game, it starts to make a little bit more sense. That 88-75 final, there was solid scoring across the board. Now, they did score 97 points in the second half. I have a hard time believing they're going to be able to do that again. There's no real big injuries out there. BYU has one of their reserves out, but he only averages 5 points a game. The shooting percentages were pretty good in that matchup, pretty good upset by San Diego. And here's really some of the crux of it is the fact that San Diego, they shot 57% from distance. I do not see them doing that again at BYU, and they shot 48% overall. So look for BYU to do a better job defensively. We know the Cougars love to get up and down, and they might put up, their share of points here, but 145 is still quite a bit of points. And when we look at San Diego statistically, I mean, that game against BYU, that was really an anomaly. I thought they caught them in a pretty good spot in that game, but you're talking about a San Diego team that averages just over 64 points per game. They shoot just over 40% from the field. Defensively, they're not that great, but their tempo is really, really slow. They get up just 51.8 attempts per game. That ranks almost last in NCAA hoops. Of course, BYU goes quicker, but BYU doesn't go as fast as we've seen them in years past. Right now, they're averaging just over 60 attempts per game, ranks 50th in the country. So look for some scoring. From these two teams, but I just don't think they get to 145. This is really a numbers play. Well, oddsmakers have it at 145. That should get everybody's radar up, and I'm going to go ahead and take the under. Could they get there? Sure. I mean, anything can happen in sports, but I'm going to back under as well. On top of everything, BYU statistically good defensive team. Right now, they're allowing opponents just 40% shooting from the field. They rank 19th in the country in opponent shooting efficiency. So that's a good BYU team. And they might make a little bit of noise in that WCC tournament. Gonzaga's looking really, really tough, but don't be surprised if BYU gets a spot in the tournament, maybe even in front of St. Mary's. We're just going to have to see how that play out. Actually, since I'm on talking about BYU, one thing about this game that worries me just a touch is the fact that they do have St. Mary's up next. So that's going to be a really big game for BYU, who, if they want to get in the tournament, right now they're sitting at 18-9. They're going to have to win out. They're going to beat San Diego, I believe, and then they need to beat St. Mary's. They end the season against Gonzaga. But I like this BYU team. They have good statistics across the board. They're well coached, and I think they keep San Diego to a really low total tonight, which is going to help us stay under the total. All right, got off on a little tangent there. Just want to talk about some hoops, but that's okay. All right, so we got just two plays on the card. We got Wisconsin and Michigan under the 125, and BYU San Diego under the 145. Those are our two NCAA picks for totals, and I wish you luck on your picks today.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.